It's just the minus c is a tiny bit of extra work and thought. So if you understood the plus c, the minus c isn't that much worse. It's a little bit of extra thought that you should be able to get okay. And I like to separate the two of them. Most textbooks do them together. I like to have the two of them separate just because I think it, yeah, I think it helps. So let's take a look at an example here. Let's do Zach, what variable are you feeling this morning? Great. So let's do z squared plus 5z minus 14. All right, so in this case, the setup is pretty much exactly the same as we were doing on Friday. We're still going to take the number that's at the end, 14, but again, we have to take the sign of the number into account. It's negative 14. So I'm going to, off to the side, look at negative 14. Now, again, the reason I have to take the sign of the number into account is because I'm looking for numbers that multiply to be not just plain 14, but multiply to be negative 14. So if two numbers multiply to be a negative number, what has to be true about one of the factors? Yeah, think, Juju? One has to be negative. Thank you for raising your hand, Juju. That was very polite.
I don't know how to.
You don't know how to? No. How do you throw a ball then?
How do I throw a ball?
Mm-hmm.
Like this?
Just straightforward. Okay, cool. So one of the factors has to be negative. So I could do negative 1 and positive 14, or I could do negative 14 and positive 1, right? But I can't do negative 1 and negative 14 because those would have a product of positive 14. So I could look at all of my factors of negative 14 that way. I could also do negative 2 and positive 7, negative 7 and positive 2. And I'm setting it up so I have my negatives on the left-hand side, my positives on the right. You don't have to do it this way. I just think it's helpful to have it this organized so that I have all my negative factors on the left and my positive factors on the right. You do not have to do this. I just think it's helpful to do it this way. Mrs. Christians has a slightly different way of doing it. Yeah, but it's pretty much the same thing. So let's see. 1 and 14, 2 and 7. Are there any other factors of 14? No? Okay. So then I need to go down through here, and I'm looking for which of these are going to add together to be positive 5, and that positive is important. So negative 1 plus 14, those add together to be positive 13. Negative 14 plus 1, those add together to be negative 13. Negative 2 plus 7, those add together to be positive 5. And negative 7 plus 2, those add together to be negative 5. So which of these add together to be our middle term? Zach? Negative 2 and 7, perfect. So what that means is when I set up our parentheses here, I'm going to put z's in both of them because that's our variable. One of them is going to be minus 2, and the other one's going to be plus 7. And you know it's plus 7 even though there's no sign in front of the 7 because if there's no sign, it's positive. Kind of, sort of? So it's pretty much the same thing we were doing on Friday. I just like to separate the two because I think it makes more sense if I keep them separated. Kind of, sort of? All right, let's do one more together, and I'm going to have you guys try one on your own, and then we'll dive right into the assignment. So let's do, Nathan, what variable are you feeling today?
I feel like an F.
An F. Okay, so let's do f squared minus 6f, and then we'll do minus 16. So I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to be negative 16. So negative 16, and I want their difference to be negative 6. So their product is negative 16, but their difference is negative 6. So you don't always have to list all of the factors, especially if you can intuitively come to what they are. So like right away, negative 1 and 15, they're not going to have a difference of negative 6, right? So some of you can probably intuitively jump right to what the two numbers are right away, which I'm assuming is why Michael's hand shot up like almost instantly. So Michael, what are the two numbers do you think that have a difference of -6, or a difference of -6 that have a product of -16? -8 and +2. So -8, +2. But I still want to check this. -8 plus 2 is -6, and -8 times 2 is -16. So I still want to check just to make sure. Okay, cool. So now I'll dive into my parentheses here. And Michael, what goes in one parenthesis and what goes in the other? F minus 8, F plus 2. Now, again, you could check this to make sure it's right by actually foiling these two out, and then just making sure that what you get back out from foiling is the same as what you started with. And if you did, then you did it right. If you didn't, you did it wrong. Kind of, sort of?
Sort of.
All right, let's try one of these on your own, and then we'll dive into the assignment. So today's notes aren't too intense. This is pretty lightweight.
This is intense.
It's intense?
Yeah.
We got like
It's
some...
like power cleaning with like 250.
Okay. All right, so let's do... Tyler, what variable are you feeling this morning?
X.
X. Okay. It's nice. It's standard. Good old standby. Let's do x squared plus 3x, and then we'll do minus 28. Okay. So raise your hand when you think you've got it, or raise your hand if you don't know what you're doing, and I'll come around and check.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Good. Then raise your hand. Good job. Good job. Wait.
Yeah. Got my second guessing myself. That was my first.
Good. So these two should be flipped, because -7 times 5 is 4 equals 28, but then when you add them, you don't get positive 3, you get -3. So it needs to be, like these two are the same, these two pairs I just put down, -7 and +4. That's why I always put negatives on the left, because you know that you're not doing the same pair. -7, +4, positive 4, -7, those are the same pair. So you need to do +7, -4.
Sorry, amnesia. I'm leaving for. Your turn. July. July 7th. July 31st. July 31st.
Okay, so the one thing that happens, listen please, the one thing that happens most often with these is that students will get the right two numbers, but they'll have the signs reversed, okay? And that happens a lot. So when you're going through, just make sure that you're paying attention to the signs of the numbers. And that's why I kind of wanted to go over this one separate from the one we did on Monday. On the kind that are on Monday, when it's plus the number on back, you can't mess up those signs, because they're either both negative or both positive. You can't mess that up. But
you put one negative and one positive.
right,
I think I can manage to mess it up.
probably.
Yeah,
You wouldn't be the first. I've messed it up myself too. So, but with these, where one of them has to be positive and one of them has to be negative, it's really easy to get those two reversed. Okay, it's very, very easy to do that. So you have to make sure that you're double checking your work and asking yourself, if I do this number plus that number, does it add to be the thing in the middle? Okay? You have to be really cautious about your positives and your negatives in that way. Because if you multiply the two together, it will multiply to be this, but you have to make sure that it adds to be the thing in the middle and not the opposite of the thing in the middle. Okay? So let's take a look at your assignment. Tyler, sneezing is nowhere near as bad as the body noises you guys are making.
What? I was coughing.
What's wrong with body
Maybe.
I actually stuff in my mouth.
We're trying to run a society here.
Oh, don't look at me while we run society. I suck at those. Society? Yeah.
Okay, so let's just go through a couple of these here, and then I'll let you guys loose. Hmm?
So it's the first day of spring, and we like had nice weather all last week.
Mm-hmm.
It's still winter. Today, first day of spring.
Mhm.
And it's cold and rainy.
Well, spring is usually rainy.
Yeah, but it's cold.
It's not
It-
cold.
It's
It's not really that cold. No. No,
all
spring starts
seasons
the
in
20th.
1 week.
It's the 20th. It's the first day of spring. Okay, so let's go through a couple of these here. So let's start with, we'll start with number 1. So two numbers that multiply to be negative 20 that add to be negative 8. So two numbers that multiply to be negative 20 that add to be negative 8. And you don't have to list all the factors if you can see two factors. That listing the factors part is just in case you can't see which factors are going to add to be the two that go in the middle right away. Yeah, okay. Negative 10 and 2. Now, negative 10 and 2. These two add together to be negative 8. You're good. So x minus 10, x plus 2. Right? Let's take a look at, let's do 6. 6 is a good one. Uh-oh. I didn't think you would have given me one like this. So negative 20. We're looking for two things that multiply to be negative 20 that add to be whatever that number is.
1.
Negative 4.
Negative 1. So two numbers that multiply to be negative 20 that add to be negative 1. Any thoughts? So let's list out factors that you can't think of any. You got negative 1 and 20. You got negative 20 and 1. What else? So negative 4 and what? 5. Negative 5 and 4. You got, somebody said 10 and 2. Negative 2 and 10. Negative 10 and 2. Is it negative 5 and 4 or negative 4 and 5?
Negative 5 and 4.
Okay, so let's go through here. Negative 4 plus 5 is what? Positive 1, so it's not these two. Negative 5 plus 4 is negative 1, so it is these two. So again, you have to be very cautious about what the two factors add to be. Both of these two sets of factors multiply to be negative 20, but only one set of factors adds to be negative 20. So these two, so x minus 5, x plus 4, is the correct pair of factors. Kind of, sort of. Alright, we'll do one more, and then I'll set you guys loose.
13.
Sure, we can do 13. So, move my camera. 13 was your request.
1.
So we got b squared minus 5b plus 6. So, oh hey, this is one of the older ones. So this is a review problem actually. That's fine. So two numbers that multiply to be positive 6 that add to be negative 5. So we got 1 and 6, 2 and 3, negative 1, negative 6, which of those sets of numbers adds to be negative 5?
-2, -3.
Right. So this is a review question. If it's plus at the end, you use your notes from Friday.
Can't it also be -6 plus
Negative 6 plus what?
1?
But that would multiply to be -6, not +6.
Oh,
If it's a positive number, if it's plus something at the end, you use your notes from Friday. If it's minus something at the end, you use your notes from today. So you're paying attention to this number at the end. If it were -6 and plus 1, it wouldn't multiply to be +6. Kind of, sort of? Alright, so then the two numbers here are -2 and -3, which means it's b minus 2 and b minus 3.
Voila.
Sure. Which also begins with a b.
Wow.
Voila.
Voila.
Which begins with a b, even though it's not really just a b. Ah, sure. Pretty nice. Okay. Alright, yeah, you guys go into your groups. I'll come around and help anybody who needs it.